Hello, everyone. I'm Gary McLean, and you are watching Talent Talk. Thanks for tuning in. This is it. Season 2 is coming to a close. And in spite of what 2020 brought us, it has been a great season for Talent Talk. And this is in no small part due to the amazing guests we've had this year and for you, the folks watching. So thank you. I truly appreciate it. Um, you know what? As great as the season has been, there's always room for improvement, and I'm kind of looking to you to help with the improvement. So on December 16th at 7 p.m., I'll be doing a season 2 in review, and I'd like to have you there and get your thoughts and maybe help us out for the third season. And we will be talking about what was good and what was bad about season 2 and what the plans are for season 3 and beyond. So hopefully we'll see you there. And of course, today we also have our guest co-host, Jyn Feditov, the winner of the co-host contest that we held earlier this year. So here's Jyn. Hey,
Hello,
Jyn.
everybody. This was a contest, you say?
That's what I heard. Anyway, I don't know.
You're not
Or
going to
no.
tell about the fight that we all had to endure, and I was the ultimate winner?
The thumb wrestling contest? Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not going into that detail at all. Um, that was brutal. Yeah, exactly. Right.
I lost it. It's gone.
Absolutely. I mean, the blood everywhere. It's crazy. Um, So welcome, Jyn. Welcome for I'm glad you're here. It'll be great to have you on board.
It's a
Um,
pleasure.
I would like to do a quick intro for our guest, which, by the way, I believe she's having a little bit of technical difficulty on her end, so there might be a bit of a delay, but I will introduce her nonetheless. So today's guest, she started her career as a actress at the age of 11. And as she grew older, she turned to teaching and has taught drama for 25 years. Now, some of her students and stars of her films are the rising stars of tomorrow. She took a bit of a career change, becoming a film writer and director 8 years ago, and threw herself into filmmaking without any real filmmaking experience. Taking various courses and offering to learn on the job. So, she ended up shooting her first short film called Blackberry Girl, which ended up getting 120,000 views on YouTube, giving her the validation she needed to continue. Um, since then, she has made 12 short films, won 27 awards, including Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Script, Best Score, several for Best Lead Actress, and Best Supporting Actor. Her films have been shown all over the world at various festivals, including Cannes. She's made her first feature film, a horror thriller called Swipe Right, which is currently in post production. And one of her more recent endeavors is a TV pilot for a series titled The Night Riders, which we will definitely be discussing. So please join me in welcoming Jane Sanger.
Hi. Hello,
Hello, Jane.
Gary. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Excellent. How's the weather in the UK right now?
Oh, it's freezing, rainy, horrible, but it always is around Christmas time here. We don't get your nice weather.
Right? Yes. No. It's okay though. Honestly, my wife and I were in Scotland a few years back. I know it's a little bit north, but we loved it so much. We're ready to retire there, honestly. So,
Really?
oh
Wow.
yeah, yeah. We do that. We do that in a split second for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very beautiful there. Very beautiful
yeah,
in Scotland. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, so I'm kind of curious. By the way, sorry, I'll give the introduction here. We also have our co-host Jyn Feditov.
Hey
Um,
there.
and he's going to join us for today. And this is our season finale of Talent Talk. So thank you for being our season-ending guest. Appreciate that. Uh,
Thanks for having me.
and yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on. I don't know if you caught the beginning of the intro there, but you started off as an actress at the age of 11.
I
Um,
did.
and
Yes.
so I'm kind of curious. Were you that little girl who would watch a film and act it out, and then decide that's what you wanted to do, and then tried it, or how did the
Kind
acting come about?
kind of, well, it was in the family. So I went to a stage school that my mother was a teacher at, and I liked voices. So I was always practicing, like, you know, I'm not an impersonator, not like a really good one, but, you know, I just practicing all these different accents and voices and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I started, and took a love for acting. And then, of course, I went down to the school and, you know, joined in, not necessarily my mother's classes, but she was, you know, she was there. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so how long did you do the acting before you decided to move into the teaching?
Well, I did all the way up to 18. It's called Lane Theatre Arts now. It's quite a famous school. It was called Frecker Lane at the very beginning. And yeah, right up to 18 when I went to uni. You know, just before I went, you know, I was going in the evenings and Saturdays and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, changed.
Okay, that's fair enough. And was it? I guess I'm kind of just curious how, like, what drove you to decide you wanted to teach? Was it the experiences that you kind of gained at doing the acting that you're like, you know what, I want to share this and I want to.
I don't know what really made me think I wanted to teach. It was acting and art. You know, they kind of go hand in hand. You know, the creative things. You know, like I just loved all that kind of thing. And then I started a family very early at 21, and I've got 5 daughters, and it was a sort of thing that I loved, that I could do in between, you know, raising the children. And, you know, then there's a bit of a gap where it's easier to, you know, get babysitters, or, you know, they start going to school, and then you can teach again. And it combined something that I could actually do and look after them at the same, you know, the same time.
Okay. And did you end up teaching your kids as well, or are they in the industry, or?
Yes, it depends. Not always. A couple of them came to some of my summertime workshops, and then the youngest one, who really wanted to be an actress, and she still is an actress. She was an actress in my first feature film, Swipe Right, and a few of my short films. So she sort of got involved with me for that. But she now does other things as well as acting, because unless you're a really famous actor or actress, it's impossible to support yourself with just one thing, you know. So
Yes.
She does other stuff now as well.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I don't know.
Aren't we all, my
agree?
friends?
Yeah, I was going to say, can you agree with that as well, Jyn? Yes. I just wanted to make a quick comment to Matt Waterworth. Thanks. Yes, the shirt. This is for our local,
oh, wow.
our local film society. So yes, it's a great shirt. Thanks for pointing that out there, Matt.
Okay.
So 25 years of teaching, and then you decided to take the plunge into actual filmmaking.
I did, yeah.
And how did that come about? What triggered that decision?
Well, it was a mixture of things. My daughter was trying to be an actress, and she was going up for quite prestigious roles at the time, you know, on some of our soaps and things like that. And then some BBC stuff, and, you know, and I thought, because teaching in schools or workshops is more about, you know, theatre, stage stuff, and not so much about filming. And I'd never really thought about that. And as I saw her doing it, I thought, well, actually, you know, this is more I would like to do. And then it sounds very crazy, but I just said, I'm going to make a film. And I've always been, you know, I sort of used to write some of the stage plays and things like that. So I've always been dabbling at writing, and I just sort of wrote this little play, and it was called Blackberry Girl. And it was, I don't know if you remember, you know, the very first mobile phones, there was a big company called Blackberry, which has kind of disappeared now. And it was the beginning of it all. So my daughter, the actress one particularly, was obsessed with her phone. And she, you know, well, now everybody does it, so it's not so exciting and different. But she used to walk along just like looking at it, not looking where she was going, you know, when she was like 13 or 14. And I just wrote this short little play called Blackberry Girl that was really about her, but it could have been any girl, you know, how she could be run over because she'd been walking across the road with a face in the phone. And
Right.
I guess it hit a nerve because it was new then, you know, for mobile phones were new, or cell phones, I think you call them. And so it got something like 120,000 hits on YouTube within a short period. And I thought, oh, this is good, you know, I can make films. But of course I had so much to learn, and I'm still learning now, you know, but I just thought, well, at least some people are interested in my films, so it made me kind of validated me to continue, and I went I went forward with that. But I needed to learn a lot more. I was also very lucky because I've been looking her up. I think she's in America. She's actually Australian. She's called Alex Hope, and she wrote the song for me, the Blackberry Girl song, and she's an amazing songwriter. And I think she was taken up by Disney. She got a job with Disney because no one could fail to like notice how brilliant she was. But now I can't, you know, we lost touch and I can't find her anywhere. She doesn't answer her emails. But if you're out there, Alex, and, in California, then please get in contact, because I'd love to see what she was doing and, you know, how she was getting on.
Yeah, no, for sure. So just out of curiosity, with your first experience as a filmmaker, like you produced obviously and directed Blackberry Girl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wrote. How did you find that first experience of trying to put this together? The casting, the finding people for the crew, as for your first time, that must have been somewhat overwhelming, I'll say.
Yes, I guess it is, but because I'd kind of cast young people in plays and stuff, I went to a site, I don't know if you have it in America, it's called Star Now. Do you have that, Star Now?
Yes, I'm familiar with it anyway.
Yeah. So I actually just went on there because the lead in it was my daughter. So obviously she was going to work for free. And then I just asked for people to work for free. It was the first time I'd, done it. It was only short. Remember, it was a short, 5 minutes or something. So I asked people to come for a day and help me. And we would collaboratively make this. So, that worked. And I think I paid Alex for her song, and I think I paid a cinematographer. And apart from that, everyone came and just kind of did it. So I was very lucky.
Okay.
Like that. So it wasn't so daunting in the fact of trying to find money at that stage, or, casting and crewing. I didn't kind of realize how much crew you really need to, make things work with a bigger film or a really more successful short film. So I just thought, oh, well, you get a cameraman and a sound person and I'll do the rest, And that was, let's just quickly turn that off. And so it just worked, and it was probably a bit by good luck more than judgment, that it kind of came together. And
Right.
then I realized you needed a lot more, as time went on, and I've made 13 short films now, that you need, it's great if you can afford it to get your set designer and your costume person and, all these different people who can help you, and a first AD and, runners and things grew. So it was just really slow. And I gradually added, more and more people to the crew. And I started to build very early on. I started to build followings on social media. So I would always advertise. Well, I did use Spotlight, obviously, as things progressed, but I advertised a lot of roles, which were paid roles later on, because I learned how to raise money. And so, I kind of built up this, film world, which is what my Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn I use. I've got quite a few followers on there, and that sort of helped massively.
Right.
But it's not an overnight thing. People say, well, how do I get so much money? As my last crowdfund, I got tons of, a bunch of money. And you can't do that overnight. You have to build up things.
Yeah, and I'd definitely like to touch on that a little bit as to because you said you kind of built up your social network a bit earlier on, and I'm just curious as to what your approach was to try and actually build that.
things. Yeah, I think Facebook's quite easy because you can just like click on people to. You have to be careful, but clicking on people to if you look at their profile and they're doing something in film, then you can at the very beginning you can just kind of friend request them, and then gradually people start friend requesting you. I mean, it does take years, and well, it did for me anyway. Maybe other people have got a secret trick, but yeah, or not. And then it's posting stuff. If you have a little film like Blackberry Girl and you post it and it's successful, and they do say that social media is like they call it success porn, doesn't it? You never put oh well, some people do, but oh god, my film's been rejected from 5 film festivals. You just put, oh wow, I've won an award, and people then think, oh, she's interesting, I'll follow her because maybe her next film I could work with her or work, come onto her film. And I think that's how it grows, really. I'm not exactly sure how it does, but that's how it has done for me. I try to post a lot and also like everybody else's things because
yeah makes sense, right? I mean, yeah.
I think probably everyone knows those things now. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's the snowball effect. It's the snowball
yes.
effect, and hopefully, one tiny morsel of, hey, this is cool. I got. To be honest, film is one of those things. Most of the time, you just mentioned you're doing something, and 90% of the people will flock in and say, "Hey, can I be part of it?" You don't even know what it is. It's like, "Hey, can I?" Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and the snowball effect is great. Do you find yourself working with the same crew often? Once you found the right key players in your crew?
Definitely. I've got a more than one person for each role, and I've tried, obviously being female myself, I've tried to make at least a 50-50 crew, so I don't just have women who are the makeup girls. I've got a couple of women cinematographers, sound, stuff like that. So, but it's not always that same person. It's maybe 2 main crews and they mix and match in. And I've been using those. It's very hard to want to work with somebody for, say, so like a feature film, or I don't know what you guys find, but a feature film or TV. I'm working towards this TV show. When you haven't, say, done a short film with them, because you don't really know what they're like. So people like the actors write and say, oh, can I be this? Can I be that? But really, you've got to kind of do something smaller together first, and then build up the relationship. And because I'd say 95% of the people I've worked with are amazing, lovely people, but have come across 5% dreadful ones. So
I think we all have.
yeah.
But I agree, and I think that's a really good comment about the working with a smaller project. Just kind of get your feet wet with those people and see how you work together. In fact, I'm doing a very similar thing right now with another project, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works out, because hopefully it'll snowball into a much larger project down the road. And I think that's a very important comment to make. And I think that is a very good starting point for most folks. I think just get your feet wet with a small group.
Yeah, it's a good advice for people just starting out, I think. A lot of people also they write to me and say, I've written a feature, will you help me make it, or something like that. I don't know if you guys get this, but you say, oh, well, could I have a look at some of your other work? Oh no, this is my first one, it's fantastic. And they all say that, don't they? As much as I do, what you write you think is amazing, but it's best to start with a short film and see how it all goes.
Absolutely. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about your first feature, actually, Swipe Right, which I believe is still in post-production, correct? Or is it?
It is. It's so close now. It's so close to being released. Yeah.
But you've had such a large quantity of short films that you've done recently. How is that jump from doing a short film to a feature? Like, to me, I'm currently kind of doing something similar, and I find it quite daunting at this point. Because it's a whole different ball game, right? In
It
terms of
is a whole, because
everything.
short films rarely make money, but people really only make feature films to make money, or at least to pay back their investors and, to pay everybody. And it becomes a different, whole different kind of game, I suppose. And yeah, there's so much more organization, lots of things you hadn't thought of. And so it's good, I think my next feature film will be a lot, I'm doing another one actually in America in hopefully May, June time, if, depending on COVID and stuff. So I think it'd be a lot easier, so much easier to because once again, because I had, I'm very lucky, the money I did have, the funds I did get, but you always want, well, not want more, but you kind of need more. So I did a lot of jobs myself, and I look forward to the day when, once again, where you can have people doing things for you. And I think production manager, that is a big thing for me. I could have somebody doing all that paperwork and admin, that would free me up a lot. So I'm hoping for that for next time.
Yeah, and the scheduling. That's the one I struggle with, is the scheduling.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm a very aspiring actor and very aspiring director, and the funniest part is the cool part of the film industry is out there. Most people don't get the business side of making film, having to get permits, doing with paperwork, trying to do funding, and trying to actually make whatever film endeavor you have a viable business. Because I mean, Gary would know this, you would know this for sure. Even to do a short film, you're putting a lot of your own money without making it back. You're making it out, at least on my end, it was like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna spend sometimes thousands of dollars and a lot of, I'm not getting compensated for any of the hard work I do, just for the opportunity of making that small film short. And what do you do with it then? And most importantly, how do you not get discouraged from doing the next thing, which is, okay, I'm going to apply for funding. Maybe I'm going to get it, maybe I'm not, but I'm still wanting to create this project. But the business side of film and the logistics, having somebody do the paperwork for you, that would be great.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how, going back to Swipe Right, how did that all come about, I guess? Was it one that you kind of wrote as well, or did you have kind of
Yes,
another
I
writer on board?
wrote it too.
Wrote that as
And
well?
I heard, I do like the genre very much, but I'd heard that for a first feature film, that to make horror or horror thrillers was the least expensive and the most likely that you got your money back.
Okay.
So I thought, right, that's the thing to do. And it's taken me ages. And that's what other people sometimes, some people are lucky, they get things made really quickly, but it took me about 5 years, and we're so close to just releasing it now, but we're not quite there. So it will be 5 years from, conception right through. And that's a long time, because I kind of learned as I went along. So I tried to get money. I did things wrong. I got a couple of wrong producers, who weren't very proactive. They weren't horrible people or anything, but they just weren't proactive like I was. And it's hard to expect someone to come on board to be your producer and not be paid, but want to raise that money. That's because often you see ads, in which I was very much like that, where you can, as soon as we get the money, you can be paid, but they're kind of, what they're doing is working for their own wages. They're raising their own wages, which is probably not the way to do it. But I gradually kind of learned how to fund through experience and falling down deep holes. And I gradually learned how to crowdfund. So I'm confident in low budget and all short films in knowing how to fund now and how to crowdfund, which has taken me nearly 9 years. So, I'm sure I'm slow, but I'm confident in that now. I'm not confident yet in the next step up of getting, 5 million for a film or something like that. So that's my next, not necessarily 5 million, but that's my next aim. Step up.
Right.
Try and get more, more funding to make bigger, more ambitious films, really.
Okay. I do have a question from one of the viewers. I'm just going to pop this up on the screen so you can have a look at it. There you go. And the question is, what was the budget like and how did you finance Swipe Right?
Okay, I financed Swipe Right with so many different ways of doing it. The budget was just under 250,000. It was at $300,000, and I did a deal with a post-production company. So they did all the post and the VFX, because we've got chopping off of heads in it, and various other things which I won't go into, but they're all quite complicated. I had no clue about VFX, but luckily they took all that over. So they did a big post-production deal. Some people agreed to deferred pay, and then I got some people to invest. Some were friends, but it's not a good idea to have friends invest in your film, because if things go wrong, you could lose the friendship. So I wouldn't advise it. So anyway, that's come out okay. And then I did, which I know in all different areas in America that you've got different tax reliefs, and I did the British tax film credit, so producer's credit. So I got some money back, but you're kind of thinking, well, that's part of your budget, the money that you're getting back. So it was kind of a mixture, really. Yeah. Okay.
And are you comfortable sharing what your actual budget was, or?
Yeah, no, I said that it was just under 250,000 pounds, $300,000 dollars. I think that is roughly. Yeah.
Yeah. My apologies. I apparently missed that part. So I guess at this point, now that you're nearing the actual post-production, what's the actual plan for the film itself? Like, are you hoping for actual theater releases in
Well, I think things have changed now, haven't they? So
a little bit, yeah. So
yeah, I was very lucky. I've got a very good production company. They're called Bazooka Bunny, and they're based in another area of the UK that I live. But I met them a convoluted way. Anyway, I met them some years ago, and they have got a bigger production company than me, as well as post-production, and they have some television credits and some successful films. So they're helping me go forward. They're helping me on this and distribution. I have 7 distributors actually interested in the film. Whether they take it up, I don't know, but that I hear is pretty good. And one of them is one in Canada. There's some in America, some in England, but they're worldwide distributors. So I don't know how they distribute now, because things have changed, whether they're just going to go to streaming platforms, broadcasting platforms. I don't mind. I'm just hoping that more than one will be interested and we can, work a good deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of partially answered the next question that kind of popped up, potentially answered, is will we get to see Swipe Right in Canada? And I guess it depends if the distributor in Canada picks it up, I would guess.
Yes.
Right? So,
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping so. It's quite a big. They're only looking. It doesn't mean that it's called Raven Banner. They're quite a big Canadian horror specialist. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I have, yes. Yeah, that's very good. And is there a timeline as to when you're hoping to kind of get this actual, like the final production done?
Well, I've done my last comments on the color and the last comments on the score. The score and the sound design. So they are hoping to get it done before the new year, or like about the new year time. And then will be seen by the distributors and see if they like it, or, if they want to take it up. And then hopefully we're going to write a deal, and that will be the first one. So it's very exciting, really. Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. And Matt Waterworth was just commenting that, yes, Raven Banner is quite awesome. So that's that's a good thing.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. We are about at the halfway mark, and first off, I just wanted to get. I do this every episode. I kind of remind folks, to make your comments and questions, which you have been doing today. So thank you so much for that. Love it. Keep them coming. And I definitely think this is a great time to touch on your more recent project that you're working on. I know Jyn's excited to talk about this as well. Called The Night Riders, which is
Yes.
right now you're working on the pilot pilot episode for the TV series.
Yes.
Again, that's a huge change, even from a feature to go to a TV series. I'm just kind of curious, what made you decide to make that plunge, and how you're finding it at this point as a starter for the conversation, anyway.
I wrote this quite a while ago, and I'm still actually kind of developing it. I have a lady called Julia, who's a creative producer and a script, developer. So we're still working on it. So it's always like a work in progress. And you say, why did I do it now, and why that big leap again? I don't really know. I just kind of thought, because it's 8 hours, isn't it? 8 hours compared to 1.5 or 2 hours for a feature. And I just thought, I'm just going to give it a go, because it's always been very popular with men and women, which is, the concept. And I just thought, we had all this time with, lockdown and stuff, a big, long lockdown we had in the UK. And I thought, well, I have time to write, I've got time to develop it. And it's a whole different thing. So a feature film, you make it. I mean, I know you guys know this, but a feature film, you make it, and then you try to sell it. Well, it's kind of opposite on TV shows. You get it half written, because you mustn't write it all, because they might want to change it. And then you kind of do this Bible, it's TV Bible, with all sorts of information about it, and then you try to sell it before you make it. So it's kind of the opposite way round. And so I'm doing this trailer teaser along with this pack, the TV Bible, to take to commissioners to try to get it commissioned. But I'm trying to make this teaser as high end as possible, so they can see, because period drama is expensive, that if I'm given the money, I'm going to make it really luxurious, sumptuous, and a feast for the eyes, as well as a good story.
Right.
That's my plan. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So I am going to share this website, which, by the way, just Jyn, so you're aware, I don't know if you can see the comments right now, but people are loving the beard. Just letting you know that.
Yes, it's quite piratey.
Yeah.
I was looking at your projects for, how long does it take? Probably 7 or 8 months. So I've been trying to groom myself into some. I'm just kidding.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing. I just wanted to congratulate you on such a successful crowdfunding campaign to begin with.
Oh, thank you.
Because I mean, I've looked at a lot of crowdfunding, and I tried to do it myself, but the amount of material you've compiled alone for the crowdfunding campaign, and the amount of money you got just for the teaser trailer, really shows how well you can do this. And that's actually one of the things I really wanted to ask you is, and you say it took you a few years to develop the crowdfunding formula that works for your type of project. What would you say would be the top 2 things that you would say, yes, if you're ever looking for crowdfunding, do this kind of thing to be as successful as you are in raising funds just for a teaser trailer?
Yeah, I think raising money, it was just for a teaser trailer, and it was in lockdown when people were losing their jobs. I was blown away, with people's generosity. But I think the 2 things that I learned, because I have done some unsuccessful crowdfunds, I have to admit that, it's kind of learning as you go along, is work in a team. You can't do it on your own. So I had a team of 8 with me, and I crowdsourced them. So I offered an associate producer and a chance that if this, if they worked hard, there were certain parameters, like if they earned this, they got this credit. If they, you know, not earned it, but, you know, like got people to donate, if they did this, they got, you know, so like a structured sort of thing for them to work towards. And then the promise, they get an IMDb credit, and the promise that if it is taken up, but of course it's speculative, that they would be able to work on the series, you know, if they reached certain amounts. And again, I was blown away by their generosity, the way they got into it. And, you know, it's all, we used to meet once a week on Zoom. That's the other thing. Don't just get this team and then never speak to them. So we used to, every Monday, we used to work out our strategy for that week. So it's 4 weeks. And you know, talk about all our successes, which boosts the whole kind of team up. And they're thinking, oh, this is great. You know, we're doing so well. And also for them, that they can then go away and say, I was on a crowdfund, because actually altogether we got private donations too afterwards on this at the bottom here, the luminofilms.co.uk/Night Rider TV, in which you can still make donations. We've got about 20,000 between the Indiegogo and that, just for a 5-minute teaser. And then on top of that, we had 3 people who kind of wanted to invest. They wanted to get something back, but it's speculative. So they put in, so altogether we've got 28. I'm aiming for 30. I'm trying to get 2 more, but I could, if you allow me, I could just give some suggestions on that later. But I think it's the enthusiasm, keeping it going, and having the team. Those would be the two things. Yeah. But I'm actually going to run a crowdfunding. You know, there's so many people out there saying, I'll show you how to do crowdfunding, I'll show you. But I'm definitely going to do a little sort of webinar on you know, step by step, because that's the other thing is, you cannot just say, tomorrow I'm going to set up my crowdfund. You have to do all this work beforehand, maybe for at least 3 months. If you can do 6 months, better, because you can make little videos. You have to sort out all your FB people, your Facebook people you're going to do, your Twitter people you're going to approach, and then check every one of your team that they're doing the same, and they're not just, you know, chat and not doing it. So it's kind of that long haul up to it. And then when you're ready to go, I think they say you have to get, I can't remember what the percentages are now, 20% in the first few days, and then you know that you'll get the rest. You know, something like 90% chance that you will reach your goal if you get 20% in the first. I'm not quite sure if it's the first 2 or 3 days or something. So it's a big push at the beginning, and you can't do that unless you've done all this prep work.
Right.
You know,
and that prep work is more or less building that following. Right.
Yeah, not just building the following. It's you have to approach people. You can't just keep, which I've done before, just keep sharing, you know, like that, you know, someone puts it up and you just share it. Of course, that all helps, but you have to individually write an email, an iMessage to people. And then you have to follow that up, and then you follow it up again, then you leave them if they don't answer. But you have to get all your emails and iMessages ready to go. So you write them all months before, with just then, you know, like how you can put them into draft or something, and then they're just ready to press.
Okay.
So it's all that preparation.
I do have a couple quick questions here from the viewers. The first one is there a link to the crowdfunding page? Now, I think the Indiegogo is done, if I remember correctly, right? But you can still donate through the website that's scrolling at the bottom.
Yes, it is. You can do PayPal through, on PayPal on there. It sets out the, you know, what you get, the perks that you get. Still get the same perks, and I will put it up on Facebook or Twitter, so you know I've appreciated you, and you know, I'm thankful for anybody who would like to still be involved. And we have got a special thing, which I've just joined a Facebook page called Pirates Nation, and we're looking for, in March, 6 more pirates. Now you might think, well, you're in UK, but I already have 4 US pirates coming over. They're making a holiday of it because they want, I'm so grateful, but want to be in the film and they want to be pirates. So we have a top, he's absolutely top costume designer who has just done a thing. I don't know if you've seen it yet in the US. It's called Harlots on, it's the same period on BBC. And he's going to win a prize. I can tell you, he's going to win a BAFTA or something because the costumes are amazing. So he's doing all the costumes. So each pirate and all his weapons, he has to have proper, you know, scimitars and daggers and what have you. Costs a lot of money, maybe £300 per pirate. So we are asking for, it's not that you're buying a part, it's that you're getting a perk. So we're asking for these 6 special men from anywhere in the world who would like to be a pirate in March on a proper pirate ship in Cornwall, which is the prettiest part of England, or one of the prettiest. And if they were able to donate £500, which you think, oh, that's maybe a lot for me, but you will have the perk of being a pirate. Obviously, you have to pay your own travel and, you know, what have you. But you'll be surprised. Some have done it already. And as I said, we've got some US pirates coming. So it's a kind of worldwide thing. Men want to be gangsters and pirates, as he strokes his beard at the top.
Yeah, I was just waiting for a break to say, Jyn.
Sorry?
There you go. I was just waiting for a little pause there to say, Jyn, you ready? You know,
if somebody has a couch for me, or you know, a ship bunk, I'm there.
Okay. Well, you look the part. You know, you look like, not exactly like a pirate, but I mean, you look like you could play one. So that's what we're after, really. But there is also, you know, somebody might like to give to help the production $10 or $5. All is equally. You don't have to give that huge amount. All are equally appreciated and go towards, you know, just the final bit that we need to, you know, to finish this off.
There was another earlier question, which we really didn't discuss it. And the question was, which era is the series based on? We never really discussed what the series is about. So maybe we can do that.
All right. Okay. So it's set in 1714 to 20. It actually involves America in the end. I'm thinking it's going to go right up to 1815, if only, you know, this is my dream. But this first part is set in the West Country, which is Cornwall, Devon area. It's the tip, the southwest tip of England. And that was an area that the Barbary pirates, who were sort of the Sultan of Morocco, sent these Barbary pirates out to get men, you know, gold and, you know, extravagant things, to come back and build his palace. So he was very jealous of Louis XIV. This is all true. He was called Moulay Ismail, and he was jealous of Louis XIV because Louis XIV had Versailles, which was the biggest palace in the world, and he wanted in Meknes to build a bigger one. Of course, apart from that, he would like beautiful women. So he had 500 concubines and 4 wives, 888 children. This is fact. He's the most prolific, I don't know what you call it, man who had children and in history. And so he particularly was interested in, which is common now, or more common, a red-haired beauty with pale skin. So this is how our story begins. A squire's beautiful red-haired daughter goes out riding with her brother one night, stormy night, the pirates attack, and the red-haired daughter goes missing. So it's a story about 5 kind of interwoven, 5 stories of different women, how they navigated the world in those times, you know, 1714 to 20, when women were very much kind of goods, and you know, even in England they married who their father told them. And then we also have a witch, because women weren't allowed to be doctors, so she was called a witch. We have a girl from the West Indies, a mixed race girl from the West Indies who is the mistress of an aristocratic person in England, who's the uncle to the red-haired girl, if you can follow all this, who goes missing. So it's all kind of intertwined. A lot of interesting stories between England and the Sultan of Morocco. Later on, he did this for, I think, 1 million people, it's estimated, he used as slaves and for his harem over, not just him and his sons, over 100-year period. And it was actually Thomas Jefferson and the Americans who finally took him down in 1815. And I would love my story to, to go right through to there. But so far, this is the first series.
Okay.
Could you follow all that? Sometimes it's difficult to know whether I put it across right or not.
No. I mean, I think it was great. I think I might even have a bit of a poster here, which I think was on your Indiegogo page. So just bear with me as I try and find it.
By the way, to me, it looks beautiful, ambitious, incredibly well researched. Your cast was wonderful. I soaked up pretty much everything I could. I went and did some research. It shows an incredibly interesting period in time, and that whole idea behind the trade of people and the capture of people. Piracy, in my mind, was I'm going to capture whatever the ship is transporting. I wasn't ever thinking about piracy for purpose of capturing people, especially in that time. And the idea behind, the pirate with the patch in particular, what the pirate looks like in my mind, it comes from that time period. The Barbary pirates created the legend of the pirates we see today. And I think it's a wonderful time to explore, and the stories you have in mind. If you guys go to the link out there, you'll see the different stories that you have planned. Ambitious writing, and I'm super excited to see what trailer you end up, what the teaser will look like, because just from the material that you sourced, it already looks very enticing. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It's great to have, because I'm a woman writer and I do write often women-centric things, but obviously there's a lot of male stories in there too. And it's lovely to hear a man who is excited. And there has been quite a few, which I'm so, happy that people are interested in the story. And the Night Riders themselves, actually, they were the first Coast Guard, and the squires of England got together and paid for these men to guard the coast from these pirate attacks. That was, that was the other side. And the other part, you were talking about the slaves. And it's a very interesting period in history because the slave trade is very complex. So we have white people, which I don't think a lot of people ever thought white people were used in the slave trade. And then that particular, the Moulay Ismail also he took a lot of North African black people and made them into his Black Guard. It was actually called that. So he's taking slaves, he's taking white people. And then we are hypocritically saying, oh, get our countrymen back, which happened when we were all using, black slaves in the plantations and in our homes. So it's very complex. And I'm trying to show that, that it comes from multiple levels, particularly between, 17 and 18, 15, 30 or something like that. And I think that's quite an interesting thing that hasn't been done before, but I'm not sure. You might tell me otherwise.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, just to kind of reiterate what Jyn was saying, like I've been kind of following this, of course, through Twitter as well, which is kind of how you and I got in touch, I think. And I've been a kind of a fan of watching it grow and your campaign grow, which, by the way, I will share this as well. It's not the greatest link to remember, but if you want to write that down, that was the Indiegogo campaign, and there's a lot of great information on that site. If you want to find out more about it, just check that out. Because yeah, the campaign was very detailed. There's a ton of info there, so check that out if you are curious about some of the details. Sorry, I was just reading a comment here. British, sorry, I'll just read this out. The British did press gangs called impressment. It was the grabbing people into service against their will. Okay.
Yeah, that was sailors. That was more like sailors. People were press gang to join the, boats that were going out, ships that were going out. I think that's what they were anyway, from my knowledge.
Okay. We had another question here, I believe. Actually, Jyn, I think you had a couple other questions you were kind of...
Oh, I have a ton. I just didn't want to interrupt the flow.
Nope.
But
go ahead.
To be honest, you've been doing films for quite a while, and I mean, the amount of short films you did altogether, it's impressive, mostly because I find the experience of making short films great, but what do you do with them and how do you find an audience for them is the challenging part. So my question would be, after your experience with filmmaking, what do you still find challenging, and what is the most exciting part of the filmmaking process for you?
Okay, well, every time it's a challenge, and I am very critical of my own films, so especially short films. So I pull them all to pieces in my head, not that I mention it to other people, but everything I've done wrong. So the challenge is each time to make it better and better next time and better next time. It's also good to use short films as practices. So like I made a little short film where I dug a hole in the garden because it was about this girl who lived in the woods and she trapped people and killed them. And I made this old kind of hut, but then that she lived in, that she lived in. But then I know that is going to be expanded into something else. It's all kind of going on in my head. So the challenge is always to get things better, and also to kind of rehearse things, if you like. So in a way, even this trailer teaser, because I've never worked with horses before, so it's a kind of rehearsal. Because we would have to, if it got taken up, we'd have to reshoot that scene, all the scenes. It's those things. I worked with a crow on Swipe Right that did as it's told and flapped about and squawked, and we're working with parrots on Thursday. So I think so. And I can't remember, there were two questions within the question, weren't there?
What do you find most exciting about the filmmaking process?
I think every bit's exciting. I don't think there's a bit I don't like, but I do enjoy the creation of the story, because without the story, there's no point making the film. But I enjoy every part of it, really. From filming it and casting it and getting all the art side sorted and post, putting it into film festivals, which is where you can, get people to see your film by getting it in a few film festivals. And that's the only way, really, unless there are a few people. I mean, there's shorts and there are a few broadcasting channels now that do shorts, I think. Is that right? I don't know in America and Canada whether there are so many, but there's definitely one in England. And then the BBC have on their catch up, they have a sort of section of short films. So it'd be ideal to get into there, which I've been shortlisted for shorts, but didn't get on. But we will. It's the challenge is to get better.
Actually, I want to go back to an earlier comment you made about being a female director and stuff like that. Do you find that to be is there a bit of a gap there in the UK in terms of the number of female directors? Do you, and if there is, do you see that being a change and there being more females in the directing side of things? Or
I think I don't find it a problem at all. People have said, It may be because I'm older, you know, so I don't take rubbish. But maybe when you're young, then they, you know, it's harder maybe to, if you're 25, 30 and you're telling a 50-year-old man how to act or how to do things, maybe he hasn't any respect for you. I'm not saying every man, of course, but that could be a problem where I don't have that problem because I'm the same age, or, you know, it just doesn't occur. I mean, as I said, I have met one or two kind of unpleasant characters, but as you said, everybody has. And that's, you know, I don't, one of them was a female, in fact, so I don't find that a problem. I think the problem is that there are less women altogether in the whole industry. And I know that in my girls' school, you know, I think I mentioned I've got these 5 girls. When they do careers, nobody says, be a film director, be a cinematographer. They say, you know, if they're clever, they say, you know, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a, you know, an architect. And I think it's getting in at ground level and showing young women that this is a career that, you know, could be, you know, very beneficial, enjoyable, and you can earn a good wage. I mean, I think it's getting better. I recently went to the National Film and Television School, which is one of our couple of leading schools in UK. And I was doing a course on writing there. And I saw a lot of women there, you know, a lot of young women. Well, it's all ages, but mostly younger, 25-ish kind of age group, because a lot of people come there after they've done something else rather than going in straight at 18. Because I think maybe they do something, I'm only guessing, surmising here, but, you know, they do something and probably don't enjoy it. And then they think, well, actually, what I want to do is film. And so they go to one of these kind of really super schools and learn then. Because I think parents often say, well, I want you to get a degree. I want you to, you know, do that. And creative things get kind of pushed under, which they shouldn't, because they're the most wonderful things. And I think women particularly, you know, don't come to that.
Okay. Surprisingly, we are in the last couple minutes, really, of the show. So I'll kind of leave it open to the viewers. If there's any final questions, throw them our direction. And I'm pretty sure Jyn has at least one more question he wants to ask. So
I do. So I was talking with Gary about this earlier, but where do you want to find yourself in the next 5 years? Do you want to actually be the showrunner and director for Night Riders? Do you want to continue doing features? Are you planning any short films? Do you want to take, I guess, more a background role as showrunner and producer and not director? What would be your ideal place in the film industry in the next 5 years?
I like directing best. So directing definitely over show running and producing, though I do enjoy that, but definitely directing. I won't do probably another short film of my own, but if someone asked me to direct theirs, I'm very happy to do that. If somebody would like me to direct, because I do enjoy it, but I would like to do television more than features, but I would still like to make features if that's, you know, that's available. Because as I said, it's 8 hours or 10 hours of filming compared to, you know, 2. This would be my dream. So Night Rider, I definitely want to direct it. And I've got quite a few other ones written, quite a few period dramas, quite a few other TV shows. And my ideal would be 1 a year, you know, going on for the next, I don't know how long. I don't plan to retire at any special age because I enjoy it so much.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm just going to throw this back up here for the tail end, just so people can go check it out. And if they want to donate, they can go to the website below and get your final couple grand that you're looking for, a couple thousand.
Thank you.
There's also a lot of other very cool projects on that website, all of the different properties that you're trying to develop. I like the fact that there's an investor's side of things even on that website. If people are interested in doing more of the investing slightly larger amounts for different kind of projects, check out the website. Night Riders are amazing, but your other IPs are also very, very intriguing. So I
Thank
suggest you
you.
guys check that out.
Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. I think that kind of wraps up our episode. I would like to thank Jyn for coming on, of course, and sharing her experience and the project information. And Jyn, of course, for being our co-host for the day. And on that note, like I mentioned earlier, I will be doing a year-end review, so hop on December 16th at 7 p.m. and we'll have a little chat about our season. Jyn, I will get you to, well, actually both Jyn and Jyn, I'll get you to hold on after we shut off the live section here, just for a little post conversation. And yes, thank you again, everybody, for watching and commenting. So appreciative of that. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you.